All right, so we might get started. Welcome, everyone. For those that don't know, who missed it earlier, my name is Alan Perry. I am the Australian and New Zealand director of CCUSA. We offer an amazing number of programs to go and work in the United States on the J1 visa. But I'm very excited to actually be talking about our Working Holiday USA program today. And I'm so excited to have Daniela, Vic, and I believe Nick Stone, the founder and CEO of Bluestone Lane Coffee, is also joined us on this call. So I'm really excited to have you join us from all the way over on New York side. I believe you're all in New York. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
All good, all good. Well, look, why don't we jump in? Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Bluestone Lane Coffee? I know it's an Australian-inspired coffee shop, but tell us, how did you get from Melbourne to the US and now like in so many different cities around the US?
Go ahead, Vic. I'm gonna leave this to you. Nick will be on in 2 minutes, and I'm sure he will add lots. But I leave this to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, Nick, when he arrived to the US in 2013 from Australia, he didn't understand why there was no human connection between people and coffee. So he started up a passion project with his now wife and opened up a hole-in-the-wall coffee shop in New York. From then on, we went from one location to, we opened up 44 locations within 45 months. Now we're at 60. With the plans to open up 13, and he felt there was a huge need for Americans to experience that human connection between people and coffee. So
amazing, amazing. And so originally you started in New York City, is that correct?
Yeah,
right?
We're Australian inspired. We wanted to bring that coffee culture here that we hear so much about from our previous J1s that have started with us pre-COVID that worked for us during the summer. It was interesting to hear from them, their experiences of coffee culture, and really that it is the way of life. And we don't have it here. So it's amazing to have that in New York.
Excellent, excellent. So with that, you then expanded from New York, and then how many stores do you have now across the US?
About 60.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. A great success story. So tell us a bit about why, obviously being an Australian coffee house, you love having your Aussies, and we've also probably got some Kiwis that have joined us here. So Aussies and Kiwis, we're very similar. So tell us a bit about what do you look for when you are wanting Aussies and Kiwis to come over and work for a Bluestone Lane Coffee shop or cafe?
The hospitality piece, the innate curiosity to want to get to know the locals, build that relationship, get to know them, create that guest experience, treat them as if they're a friend, whether it's their first time coming or their 30th time coming. I think for us, it's so crucial that the guest experience is so important, that it's important as soon as they walk into the door.
Excellent. That's great. That's great. So tell us a little bit, I guess, about the jobs that you're looking to fill with our Working Holiday USA participants, and then maybe a little bit about what each of the responsibilities or what their day-to-day job might entail.
Yeah, so we've opened this up for our LA cafes. We have 3 cafes out in LA, and then in New York we have 10, and we're looking for service professionals, and the service professionals really set the tone when our locals are entering the cafe, and they're responsible for providing an amazing experience through their time they walk in the door and the time that they walk out. But it would be making sure that they are servicing the tables, making sure that they are have a deep understanding of the menu, educating them on our app, our menu, our beverage, working closely with the teams to make sure that orders are placed on time, and also coffee as well, having coffee responsibilities.
Excellent.
Yeah, what's so unique about the service professional role is you kind of get to play a little bit of everything. You may be host, welcoming everyone, like Vic said, you know, being that first point of contact to welcome someone into our home. You may be at the table talking about the menu and, you know, our inspiration and you know, what's great about, you know, maybe your favorite food, or giving them knowledge and demonstrating care and concern about any dietary restrictions. And you may also then be, you know, performing, if some of your baristas, you know, that beautiful latte art, and being behind the machine on the La Marzocco and preparing great coffee and beverages for our locals. So there's a lot of variety in the day-to-day too, which is great.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I see Nicholas has joined us. Do you hear us, Nick?
Yeah, I can. Hi, Alan. How you doing?
Hi. Good, thank you. Good, thanks. Thanks for jumping on and having some time to jump and chat to the folks down here in Australia and New Zealand. And we're just talking about how well you've sort of taken an Australian brand coffee and spread into 60 stores around the United States. That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the team done a great job. Hasn't been exactly an easy road, but you know, we've made a lot of great changes and we've used the pandemic to our advantage. So now it's time to get growing, and I think the world's stabilizing somewhat, except if you're in Ukraine. But unfortunately, yeah, like we've got a great opportunity this year. I think that there's a lot of pent-up demand. People just want to go out, be with other people. I think tourism's going to explode in summer, so we need a lot of staff, and we need staff that have a baseline level of understanding of our proposition, what premium cafe culture is, the hospitality element, not only just the barista skills, but I think it's really important for the authenticity of the brand that we're constantly having new Australian and New Zealand talent coming through. We've promoted so many from within into actually permanent roles in Bluestone. And I just think it's critical, because it provides, again, that authenticity and the role modeling that we need when you're hiring 300-400 people a year. The skill set that often the Australian New Zealanders have, if they come from a cafe background, is exactly what we're trying to execute with Bluestone. So it's the land of independence here. It's not the land of mass change. So and honestly, the coffee culture it's the baseline specialty. It's not a drip coffee culture. It's not a commoditized, where coffee is just a transaction or a drug, or just it's a form of caffeine. It's actually, you know, part of the culture. So yeah, you know, we want to try and do whatever we can and try and get as many top quality candidates and kids that haven't also had the chance to travel for 2 years. I think that was one of the best things about going to university, is your ability to work in the States for a year, whether it's in the ski fields or in a big city, or in a holiday camp, which they obviously, a lot of Aussies do as well. So keen to hear and see how we can get as many as possible. And I know that a big thing is, how do we onboard them, and how do we manage that process so it's easier on Danielle's team that's already stretched? How do we do it in a way that makes sense and doesn't chew up enormous resources, and it's scalable? Because even though we're dealing with people and everyone wants attention, and that's fair enough, it just gets obviously a lot harder when you're trying to bring in 30, 40, 50 young people, and it's hard to apply that level of attention. So anyway, that's enough of my rambling. Keen to hear more.
Look, no, it's great. It's great. Very excited, and I'm impressed that you still have your Australian accent, so that's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I've lived in the States since 2010, but I'm married to an Australian, and then I work with a lot of Aussies, and I work, so it's hard to. I don't think you really shake it. I know lots of Australians live in the States for 20 plus years and they still have it.
Yeah.
I think you got to be you got to consciously change it.
Yeah.
It's not easy to shake the Australian accent, I don't think.
No, I agree. I agree. Well, look, thanks, Nicholas. Why don't we jump back? So looking at the types of jobs that you've servers, baristas, cooks, and then you've even sort of listed the possibility of potential a movement up the chain, I guess, into, team captains, managers, store leaders. Is that correct?
Yeah, and if we had culinary, we would take culinary as well. I have no doubt on that. So we're definitely keen on young chefs or cooks. And yeah, I think they're the primary roles. There are a lot of J1s. They probably would be very interested in corporate roles, but that's probably not realistic. We could potentially have a couple of internships, but our corporate team's pretty solid and we don't see like a lot of additions there, but there could be, but really it's primarily to support the retail operations, especially given the J1 is a 1 year program. I guess some can get 18 months, but it's typically 1 year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, and certainly we've got Dana who works in our head office and looks after our Working Holiday USA program and also our practical trainee programs as well. So there is the possibility for those that, after a year are looking at sort of, moving into a trainee program as well that does facilitate up to 18 months on top of that. So we've had a number of people that have transitioned into those, and then Aussies are even lucky enough to get what's called an E3 visa after that. So, so there are career possibilities there that do enable a lot of great success stories, which we've had many in the past. So, so with the roles in the stores, obviously, what's sort of the working hours? So what's the weekly hours? What would they be typically earning for a wage? And something weird, I guess, that we're not probably too used to here in Australia is the tipping element in the US. So do you guys want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Vic, do you want to take that or would you like me to? Okay, I'm going to go ahead. So typically we're day cafes. So it's great for work-life balance. You should be a morning person now because people are up early. Most of our cafes open around 7 o'clock. Some vary, maybe 6:30, maybe 7:30, depends on the cafe which you're working at. But typically you're done by 3-4 o'clock. So shifts are typically about 6 hours. You'll have a 6-hour shift. So you may be the opener or you may be the closer, working, of course, with a team. And weekends are super important. That's when the majority of our business is done. But we've learned from our previous J1 programs, and we've made sure that we carve out that you're going to have some weekends off to go out and explore, which is why you're here, right? Go on those trips, get some time off to truly experience, all the beauty of the United States. So we work with your managers on your schedule to make sure that you've got that time off while certainly dedicating a few weekends in the month to really support the business operations. So with that, the pay will vary, meaning in New York, we have a certain pay program where typically we are paying for the service professional role, it's $11.25, but then you're a tipped employee, right? And the majority, your tips can be amazing, especially in the summer where you've got lots of dining. Our tips range from anywhere from typically $11 an hour at the lowest to where we've seen $25, $30 an hour in the height of the season, which is typically, I'd say, October, September time. So summer is always very strong for us. And then in LA, where we're also looking for a service professional role, you'll start at our $15, which is minimum wage, and then the same kind of tip average. So it will vary slightly, but really that's really what we're looking at from a pay perspective and from a working hours perspective. Did I cover everything there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, yeah, that's great. And look, and for those Aussies that are like, hang on, $11 an hour, what? Because our rates here are a lot higher, but then the cost of living in the US is you've got to make sure that you're factoring those in. That it's much cheaper and things are a lot cheaper in the US compared to, you know, especially Sydney or Melbourne. So, you know, they're minimum wage, but you do have that opportunity to earn a lot with tips. And I've spoken to a lot of people in my years with CCUSA, a lot of Aussies that really keep that very thick Australian accent and manage to really talk up a nice storm to get nice big tips. So it works very, very well, the Aussie accent and the Kiwi accent, of course. And so with the role, obviously, now we do have people that question, okay, so what about, where would I live? You know, how do I find housing, whether it be in LA or New York? You know, everyone hears these stories about how expensive it is, you know, getting around. Could you tell us a little bit about what you guys do to help with housing and those types of things?
Yeah, we're working on it right now. We try to, when we have an understanding of who's coming in when, I think we're trying to work through, you know, those first couple of weeks where you land and you kind of, you know, trying to get your bases. We're going to try to work through with Sonder, which is a long-term rental company, which many of our teammates use when they need to. Nick has as well, to see if we'd be able to get some sort of discounted rate. But if we're not able to get an additional discount, it is quite discounted. So we really want to, you know, arm our new joiners or J1s with information. So places that are clean, that are safe, that they can go to, where they can drop their bags and start to get set up and start looking for, you know, a more permanent resident, but really to help and support with some information about how to find a place really to settle in for those first couple of weeks that's at a reasonable rate. So we're still working through the details on that, but we will be providing support in that respect.
Awesome. And look, to get around New York City is quite easy. So it's very easy with that. LA has its you know, depending on where you're going, but yeah, there's definitely places and plenty of great things to do, whether you're on the east or the west coast. So it's great in that respect. Some other great points.
One of the things that we could do on the wage front is we could always we could explore guaranteeing so that they earn a guaranteed amount, which we have done before with tips. So, for example, that they guaranteed to earn 22 or maybe even higher, honestly. That's something that we could do. We've done it before, and I don't think we'll be in a situation where we have to top up to that level. But to make it easier for Australians to understand that's what we can do. Like, in fact, like most of the Aussies that work in peak season that are J1s, they earn more working for Bluestone than they typically do, with the exception of Sunday rates and public holiday rates. The loading you get in Australia, which you don't get in the US. But you know, I think it's the biggest thing is like the barrier, the perception around, oh my God, like how do I survive on $11-12 an hour when I was earning $24 an hour, you know, $22 an hour in working in a cafe in Melbourne or Sydney. Mm-hmm. But like that's the way we could get around it. We could guarantee that you'll earn a minimum of that.
Great.
And we won't have to, I don't think we'll have to top up, certainly not in cafes in peak season. And, you know, the Sonder is a pretty phenomenal thing. If we can, honestly, if we can do a deal with them, which I think we can, we could, you know, because long term it's very cheap. But, you know, it's like anything. You gotta fend for yourself a little bit. You know, we'll definitely help you, but we have resources, but you've got to network and find yourself an, you know, apartment or where to live and housemates and things. And that's one thing that they do when they, you know, come across that the friendships they form are unbelievable. They, you know, the fellow J1s and their colleagues teammates at Bluestone become their best friends, and they're the ones that they go traveling with, partying with, work with. So yeah, no, I've got to agree with you, Nick. Yeah, certainly the past participants that we've had have definitely done that. They've gone over and then sort of all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I've moved here because I'm working with these crews. They had a spare room. I'm in with them. Oh yeah, I went to this party on the weekend. I went here, I went that. So it's great hearing those stories, and it's a great adventure, and that's what this program is. You know, it's a working holiday adventure for those Aussies that just want to break free,
you know, we've been locked down here, and the Kiwis as well. We've been locked away for 2 years, getting away and having that experience and standing alone. You know, I kind of talk to a lot of folks and I say, well, it's kind of like moving from, say, Melbourne to Sydney. You know, you may not know anyone. You've got to get your feet on the ground. You've got to find a job. You know, we've got a job lined up for you now. You've got to work out public transport and housing. And you guys are already assisting with all of those elements. So, you know, they're already a step ahead. You're just on the other side of the world for that one. But, you know, it's pretty amazing to have the opportunity to live and work in New York City or in LA and have that experience for a year and yet still do all that traveling and see the US on your time off and everything else, which is great. The other great thing I do love about what you guys are offering, not only do you offer the great rates and the tip and obviously the top up would be great, Nick. I think that would really go a long way with a lot of our Aussies and Kiwis that might be like, oh, you know, checking out that price comparison, which I don't think you can really do or understand, at least until you've been traveling, is the reimbursement after working for you guys for 6 months up to $500 US bonus. Once you stay for 6 months, that's a great bonus as well, and goes a long way to pretty much covering, you know, a good chunk of the cost for the program on our end. A large proportion of that is the 12 months insurance that you all get with the program. So not only the visa sponsorship, you get insurance with us, and then the support before you go, and then support from Dana while you're there as well. If you have any questions or need advice or just a chit chat, Dana loves a good chat, so she's always there for you to do that one as well, which is great. I guess if we've got folks out there that are really interested, probably the best way that everyone should sort of go about it is to jump on to ccusa.com.au or .co.nz. Click on the big apply button, create an account for Working Holiday USA. Now, there are some restrictions here on this visa. You do need to be a full-time university student. It can't be online, so you can't be studying correspondence or any of those. If we took COVID out of the mix, you would have had to have been going to class last year and sitting in a classroom. So you've got to be full-time at uni, or you need to be a 2021 graduate. So you've graduated in 2021. So once you graduate, you've got 12 months to arrive in the United States from your date of graduation. So, you know, so we can still accommodate a lot of graduates and a lot of those folks that are maybe looking at the fact that you're about to start uni next week and it's the last thing you want to do. So if you want to take a break, then we're happy to accommodate that as well. So we can do that one. Once you jump on and do your application form, we'll contact you, send us your resume. We'll pass it on to the crew there at Bluestone Lane. And then the next step will be up for them to sort of have a look over your resume. Let's set up an interview with you, get that started. We'll work on your documents and everything here on our end, and then potentially see if we can fast track a nice placement for you in LA or in New York and get the ball rolling and go from there. A couple of you know, I guess small hurdles that we have to overcome is obviously getting your J1 visa. So CCUSA is your visa sponsor. So we are designated by the US Department of State. So you are with CCUSA in Australia and New Zealand, and then CCUSA once you get across the ditch into the US. So you're with the one company from start to finish. But to do that, you need to go to a consulate and attend an in-person interview. There are some backups at the moment at the consulates in Auckland and also in Melbourne. The Sydney consulate is actually closed. They moved to a new premises last year and it's still being built. So the Sydney consulate is currently closed, you know, until further notice. So we expect that it may be open by June. So we do have specific visa days that we're working with the Melbourne consulate to try and accommodate to get as many people down and through as possible. I think we've got Sophie has joined us. Is that Sophie Hiscock? Is that Sophie? Can you unmute, Sophie? Hang on. Oh, Sophie, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Sophie. Sophie's already signed up to Working Holiday USA, and I think she's going to be joining into your LA branch. So heading down to LA, Sophie and her friend Rachel. I don't know if Rachel was able to jump on. Sophie, you've got your interview next in a couple of weeks' time. So are you excited?
Yeah, it'll be good. Rachel had her interview yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
It was pretty easy. not too
Yeah.
scary, because we thought we might get a bit of an interrogation.
Yeah, no. They're not that scary at the consulate. They're quite good. And look, our role is to prep you, make sure you've got everything ready to go when you do go for your visa appointment at the consulate. Once that visa's done, you can literally, once it takes about 10 days to mail back to you, and then you're able to jump on that plane and head straight over and go and work and get started working straight away, which is amazing. Do you know which branch you're going to be working in, Sophie?
We're hoping to be working in New York.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah, maybe 4 months.
Ah, awesome. Oh, very good. Very good. Well, that sounds very cool. For those that also don't know, as I mentioned before, our program includes insurance. Many insurance policies still exclude COVID because it's a pandemic. Our policy does not. So you're covered in that medical element there. You do need to be double vaxxed to leave Australia and also to enter the United States. So no word yet if you also need the booster before you go, but definitely it's probably worthwhile considering and having that before you jump on the plane to head over. You will need a clear PCR test before you jump on the plane within 72 hours of departure, but we'll cover all of that with you once you've got your visa and you're getting ready to go. So the process, we make it as I guess I'd like to think as easy and streamlined as we possibly can in terms of what we do and how we can get you to the United States. I guess probably the biggest hurdle to overcome is just making sure that you meet that student requirement. And once you do, then it's just a matter of jumping on and working through that process with us and just being on top of your game so you're ready to jump in and move forward. We do have some special visa days that potentially could be coming up at the end of March. So if there are students out there or graduates that are like, you know what, I'm ready to just break free, go to LA, go to New York City, please jump on, start your Working Holiday USA application form as quickly as possible. Upload your resume. We'll then be able to get you in touch with the crew there with Victoria and Danielle to try and see how quickly we can facilitate an interview while we work through all your paperwork here and potentially get you in for one of those visa days at the end of March, which could potentially have you arriving, I guess, mid to late April to start work, which would be great. Kind of quick, but certainly we're happy to jump through some hoops for you guys. We think this is an amazing opportunity. Not just because it's an Australian brand that's gone across the US, but it's just an amazing opportunity to break free from Australia and New Zealand, go out on your own, have that experience to live and experience working and living in the United States. LA is phenomenal. New York is amazing. You can't go wrong with either of those two cities. You're going to have one of the most amazing experiences ever. And the great thing about this is you work sort of, you've got your hours during the day. There's nothing to stop you picking up a nighttime gig as well. So you could work in a bar or a restaurant as well if you want to, add in extra hours as well. So you've got plenty of opportunity on this visa that enables you to have those chances out there. So Danielle, Victoria, did you want to add anything else?
I guess all I wanted to add is, why we're limiting it to just these two markets is because we want to provide the ability, like you said earlier, to make great friends, to make connections. That will allow us, me and my team, to set up social events, so you will be connected with one another, not only other J1 teammates, but with, the community, the other teammates you work with at Bluestone Lane. So we really want to provide a great experience on top of course, working at the company and learning some great skills and working with great people, but also to be able to have those connections outside of work. And we're happy to, we want to be able to provide some company sponsored, mingling events as well, because we know it's all about the experience. For us, it's the experience for our locals, and for us and the people team, it's about providing a great experience for our teammates.
Excellent. Excellent. Nicholas, did you have anything that you wanted to add in here?
No, Danielle said it about the focus. I think for us, what I'd be interested in is like how many applications do you process a year, and how many do you anticipate? And is CCUSA the biggest facilitator of holiday working visas out of Australia and New Zealand, or is it? I think because for us, we're happy to partner with the best agencies But we do want to achieve this goal of getting sort of 40 Aussie or Kiwis to join us in a short while. So what do you think about, like, how do you market to universities? How do you market to TAFEs or what have you to try and encourage people to join?
I'll just jump in real quick, Snowy. I just wanted to answer his first question, and I thought maybe you could answer the second. Hi, I'm Dana. I'm with CCUSA, and I'm here in the U.S., and I'm actually the director of the program on the U.S. side. And Nicholas, to answer your question, we are really late in obviously marketing for this upcoming season. But we're going to do our best to try to get as many as we possibly can, but it is a program we can build upon. I will tell you that this particular visa, there's a very small group of sponsors that offers this visa. When it first started, it was a pilot program and there were 20 sponsors. And I think there's just a couple of us left that actually offer this visa. So we are kind of one of the bigger sponsors of the visa. So again, it's specific, and unfortunately only a couple of us even offer it. So hopefully, we're going to get as many people and market this, as many people as we can, but obviously it's a program we have to build upon because, we're talking about a niche. We're talking about participants that are wanting to take a gap year off, or we're talking about participants that are within 1 year of graduation. So again, we will do our best to get as many as possible. And I'm actually even marketing it to participants we already have in New York and LA, because some of them, may be, in need of a second job or another job or a better job. So I've been marketing it to locals. So you may have some applicants from that as well, from that pool as well, that are just started the visa and have just arrived. So now I'll turn it over to Snowy on the marketing side in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look, it's certainly through a lot of career hubs and universities. We've got a lot of contacts at a number of universities. With a lot of the unis opening up, we've been invited to a number of, career events, whether they be in person or online. So definitely pushing hard through those elements. There's a number of graduate programs that still reach out. The universities are able to reach out to their graduates. So we have been continuing with that program for a number of years and doing that. Historically, many of our participants are looking for something niche in their degree. Their friends have gone and worked at a ski resort. So it's that sort of trend that they like to follow along with. But certainly, we are seeing a very steady increase of Aussies that have been locked down for the last 2 years that are just ready to break free and go, you know what, I'm going to put uni on hold for a year, or you know what, that job, I don't need it. I'm going to take a break and go overseas. Unemployment's heading down at the moment over here. So it's quite easy to land a job. So we're also competing with those that might want to be staying home. But on the same breath, we are talking to quite a few that are very keen. There's quite a few Aussies that are very keen to head over and travel. Just unfortunately, because of the visa requirement, we do have to fit into that student zone. Whereas, say, for example, our summer camp program, it's open to anyone that's over 18. So it opens that up to a whole different crew of folks, but definitely working through with a number of contacts we've had pre-COVID and reconnecting with them now that the unis are back and working through it with them. Cool. Awesome. All right.
Look, thank you.
Oh, look, my pleasure. My pleasure. I did put in the chat on the right-hand side, just the link that we've got and the little FAQ from Bluestone Lane that they put together in the chat. So please feel free to jump in and download that. For those that are watching this live on our Facebook stream, I will pop that into the chat as well. So you'll have that. And then it'll also be when we post this up on our YouTube site, there'll also be links in the chat there. So make sure you click on those to jump on. And like I said, if you are super keen and you want to get away straight away, pardon me, we are going to need to have you jump on pretty quick, purely for the fact that with the backlog of visa appointments or the limited number of visa appointments we've got, we do have this window at the end of March. So we'll be able to allocate and get as many people as we possibly can through that one based on the allocation we get from the consulate. So please reach out, contact us. Sophie, have an awesome time. I know we'll talk to you before you go, and Rachel as well. But I just want to thank everyone else for joining us today. We've kept it kind of short because we know everyone's time is sort of importance here. But we want to thank you all for joining us, especially Danielle, Victoria, and of course you, Nicholas. Thank you so much for jumping on, taking the time to chat to us today. Look forward to finding you some amazing questions. Sophie
has a quick question.
Sophie.
Yeah, hi, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, typically for this sort of position, how many hours are we able to get a week, usually, Nick?
Well, I think like it's typically between 30 and 40 hours a week.
Okay.
Sophie, so the best. So if when you arrive and you buy into the service standards and you're a great teammate, then I think your opportunity to have 40 hours is a lot easier than if you're not as committed, you probably more likely get 30. So it'll be between 30 and 40 hours. And one thing that is we typically find is most J1s, Danielle said it, they probably want to work between 30 and 35 because there's a bit of an arbitrage. So like an hour working on the weekend is probably compensated almost twice as an hour working during the week. So a lot of staff prefer to work the weekends and a couple of days during the week and then have 3 days off completely because they earn a lot more on the weekends because 50% of the business happens on the weekend. So, but there's lots of opportunities. There's lots of hours. Like the main thing is that you come with the right attitude and willingness to learn and hospitality focus. And I think that there'll be no issues with hours. We're increasing hours because it's moving as we transition from winter to spring. We have more daylight and we have a lot more people willing to go out and wanting to dine during the day rather than, escape the cold. So Danielle, have I said anything that's inconsistent with your sort of approach?
Perfect. That's it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, look,
one thing I would say, Sophie, is like, I just think we've spoken before a couple of times, but like we've had a lot of J1s over the years. We must have had probably 100, and I would be shocked if 90% plus don't say it's like one of the best years they've ever had in their life. And this year I think spring, summer in New York it's challenging to articulate like the amount of energy and enthusiasm for being active and being outdoors and collaborating with people and meeting people. So like this is going to be a summer to remember. There's going to be a lot of exciting stuff happen. So yeah, this is the big rebound year, I think. So, and based on what I saw last year, summer, and even post, in the fall, the early fall, or early autumn, it was extraordinary. Like the amount of people going out and doing things, and I think this is going to be one of the best years, I think, to literally be on a J1 program in the States because of 2 years of.
And I just wanted to concur with you, Nicholas. I've been doing this program since we've had it, 2008. And I have to tell you, Bluestone Lane is an amazing employer. We've been working with them in LA and New York, and I have not had one complaint. In fact, I've had just the opposite. Like when I posted on our page where all our alumni are, hey, do you have any people coming to the States? Bluestone Lane is hiring again. The comments are like, they're the best. We loved working with Bluestone. So I can't say enough about them as an employer. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, it's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great reflection of Danielle and her team, and then the operations team, and just the culture of the organization is a really good one. It's something that's so critically important to us. It's literally the intellectual property we have. We don't really have IP on anything else other than the way we operate and the way we take care of our locals and look after our teammates. It's very much a team mindset and mentality. And yeah, it's not a good place if you just want to come and chill. Bluestone doesn't work for you. Like we're literally a team. We're a high performance team. So when we're working, we're working. When we're not working, we're having fun. But we've had some J1s where they don't expect to really do much, and that does not work well with Bluestone. That it doesn't matter what your experience is, your nationality, whatever. If you're not ready to go and commit to us, then it's not going to be reciprocated, and that's fine. Like, some people want to do other things, but yeah, if you're into it, and the amount of hours we're talking, it's not 50, 60 hours, which is a typical New York City job, right? That's one thing to know. Is like, New York City is not a place where you come and clock in 9 to 5. I think it's wonderful, and we're super motivated and excited to make sure it's an amazing experience, because that will translate into how our locals are treated and how the stores operate and how the brand resonates. So we're all aligned. We just want to make sure we get enough to make a real difference. And I think this is going to be exciting year. So we've got to do a lot on LinkedIn. We have to go to the universities. We've really got to sort of push. We've got to do a bit of a campaign really quickly to get the awareness out there.
Yep, definitely. And we can connect a little bit more, Nick. So, and discuss that, again later in the next few days. All right. I do want to wrap this up because I did want to keep it short and sweet, because we are going to be sharing this with a number of our unis and our contacts there. So if there's no other questions, Sophie will be in touch. I'm actually really excited for you. So that's great. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the US, Daniela, Victoria, and Nicholas, and of course, Dana from our head office. But other than that, thanks everyone. I'm going to jump off, end this meeting now, and say thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing those applications come rolling in and finding you some great placements at Bluestone Lane Coffee.